On this episode of TFL Talking Trucks, we're talking about the future of the midsize pickup.
It is a growing field, baby. A lot of trucks are coming, and we have some rumors.
Heck yeah, so dude, before we begin, let's roll our intro.
Congratulations, you have now tuned into TFL Talk, where we discuss everything automotive, whether it's cars or trucks. This is the one place where you can be sure to get independent and honest reviews. Let's get back to the show right now.
All right, dude, so I've been getting inundated with messages about upcoming trucks, and this is awesome. Mainly, I want to start with Ford Ranger because there's so many rumors and information and actually prototypes running around in the wild.
There's a lot of stuff going on with Ford, so they're kind of dominant on this list, but that's just because there's so much stuff going on.
Yeah, well, should we start right there?
Yeah, let's start with the Ranger.
Okay.
All right, so one of the rumors about the Ford Ranger, that there will be an upcoming, possibly PHEV version or a hybrid version in the near future. PHEV plug-in hybrid.
This is a really interesting. Well, everybody knows that F-150 hybrid is here.
Right. I wonder why they all know that, Andre.
Well, I'm partly to blame because I purchased one actually, F-150 hybrid truck that you can actually listen to our previous podcast, and we kind of went deep on that.
Right.
But no matter. So we do know that Ford has this technology, right? Just the hybrid I'm talking about.
Right.
Right. So it would make sense because it's a modular type thing, because they have the 10-speed automatic that's also shared to a large extent with the Ranger. And actually have the electric motor that slides inside of the transmission, and it's a hybrid electric modular setup, and it's a rear-wheel drive setup, obviously.
Exactly.
So it could make sense that they would combine a 2.3-liter straight 4 turbo in the Ranger and somehow hybridize it, but also put it in an all-new chassis that we see running around out there.
Which is possible. Now, we did get some information from our friends over at Inside EVs. They did post something about some possible PHEV news with that 2.3-liter engine. They're talking about a possibility of 362 horsepower and 502 pound-feet of torque, which sounds extraordinary for a mid-sized truck. But if you think about it, Ford does have a habit of overpowering their pickup trucks. Now, why would this matter? I mean, would this actually happen? Just if Ford finally decided that we deserve to get a Ford Ranger Raptor.
Yes, in the United States.
Right, in the United States, then having a more powerful powertrain for that variant makes sense because that's what Ford was doing with their Raptor. At one point in time, the Raptor was the most powerful of all the F-150 pickups.
Yes.
And we're assuming that possibly in the near future it will be again. Or it may be again, I should say. So it's possible that the Ranger Raptor that may come to the United States may have this powertrain. Once again, we don't know for sure, but what we do know is that they are running around with a lot of test mules and they are testing a variety of different things.
Yes, so you're listening to us. If you're listening to us, thank you.
Thanks,
you
guys.
can also actually watch us on TFL Talk, a YouTube channel. And if you're watching us, you can kind of see some of these images, especially behind me. We have this on tfltruck.com. This is one of the test vehicles that was actually captured in Michigan recently. And this is very interesting. And we have kind of deep dive videos about this as well.
Right, we do.
But as part of it, the new Ranger will be sharing its chassis with the Bronco, right?
Right.
So they're both built, by the way, Blaze the dog.
You may have seen that on camera. The dog just came in here, said hi, and then left. All right, shall we continue?
He wants to be on the podcast.
I don't blame him.
They're going to be probably likely, once again, this is not Ford official speaking right now.
Yeah.
But they're going to be sharing a chassis with a Bronco because they're built at the same facility in Michigan. And it kind of makes sense. And it also makes sense that they would have same kind of off-road gear and capability and tires and share a lot of that knowledge together, which also could mean that the new Ranger, either Raptor or even a standard Ranger, could have coil springs in the back.
Yeah, we've been hearing a lot about coil springs, actually, and there are other rumors about other vehicles that might have them as well. Now, there are a couple things to keep in mind. One of the reasons why many fans believe that we won't get the Ford Ranger Raptor is because it might eat into the sales of the F-150 F-150 Raptor. And that kind of makes sense. But the other thing is that Ford is beginning to realize, we believe, that the Ranger has a lot more value considering the sales numbers are increasing noticeably. And on top of that, there's demand. There's real demand for midsize trucks right now, and midsize trucks are a little bit easier to make efficient. And let's face it, whether we like it or not, you're going to have more efficient trucks in the near future. So that makes sense. Now, Andre, there is another possible small truck from Ford coming out.
No way.
Yep. And we don't know for sure if it's going to be called the Maverick, but that is currently the, we do have some photos on TFL truck, right?
Yeah, well, the strongest evidence of this is that there is actually video and images of a tailgate that has stamped out Maverick,
Right.
the name.
Right.
So, but
That's why we're calling it the Maverick.
Yeah, but I'm a little surprised that Ford hasn't officially dropped any hints or kind of clues about this. But we have seen prototypes.
We have seen a lot of prototypes on it.
yeah.
And they did announce that they would be building a pickup to slot beneath the Ranger. They just weren't very specific from there. Now, our guess is that maybe because of COVID and everything else, everything's been backed up, and Ford has had a lot of delays, with chips and all this other stuff that's going on, and once again, COVID. So it's possible that that's why we're not hearing about it. So, what about this truck, and what about the future in terms of powertrain with this vehicle? Well, and it may not be a truck. I know a lot of you guys are like, well, it's a crossover with a pickup truck bed. You might be right. In fact, we believe that it's possible that it's based on the same platform that is shared between the Bronco Sport and also the Escape. If that's the case, Andre, that means it's a front-wheel drive bias vehicle, which also means that it could run with the other types of running gear that are currently used in the Escape, which means possible hybrid, possible PHEV. So this truck could have a variety of this pickup could have a variety of
crossover
different
pickup.
powertrains. Yeah, crossover pickup. I just say pickup. That makes it easier.
That's fine.
So yeah, there you go. So that's a possibility as well. So we are hearing that Ford is looking at this, and Ford has already said in Europe they're going completely electric in a few years, and sounds like they're considering that over here as well. So keep that in mind, that electrification for their new products, including this Maverick that we think it's going to be called, is very likely.
But it's not, I don't want to focus just on the electrification.
Right.
I mean, I think there's plenty to get excited about, just new vehicles coming in general.
Right.
Because, well, we understand that hybrid is cool because Ford showed with the F-150 that it's not only efficient, but it can also be very powerful and very fast, and also be a generator, right? Inverter generator system. So I'm sure they'll have many engine options at first, and then maybe pare it down, right?
That's possible.
Whatever they may do.
Right.
So, and that, like you said, so the Escape is built alongside Bronco Sport at the Mexican facility.
Right.
And out there on the internet, there were some images inside that factory of something that looked like a pickup truck.
Right. We didn't, by the way,
We did not publish
pictures.
that.
We didn't publish those or anything else. Just so you guys know. All right. Should we move on, though, to General Motors? You got anything else for Ford?
Well, I just wanted to
We're
wrap
not going
up.
in alphabetical order, if you notice.
No, we're kind of.
Here we go. Here's a really good shot. If you can see this, if you're watching TFL Talk on YouTube, you're going to see this, which is pretty obvious that it is a pickup truck with some sort of cap on the back. And it's an interesting setup because you can tell, if you look at the rear suspension, that is an independent rear suspension. So it's already the first telltale sign that this is not your average, Ford Ranger. And its size is kind of interesting. So it has a pretty good sized quad cab and a relatively short bed. I'm going to guesstimate that that's around 5 feet and change. And here's the good news for everybody out there. This could be the value leader for Ford. If they follow policy that, they're trying to bring in younger people who may not be able to afford a $40,000 midsize truck, this might be the way to go, especially if you don't need to haul too much, just minor things and whatnot. Same route as sort of the upcoming Hyundai Santa Cruz and the current Honda Ridgeline, although we will cover those in just a little bit.
Yeah. But bottom line, I think, is 2023 is going to be probably the model year for the next Ranger, right? That's what we're talking about. We don't quite know the model year for the Maverick,
right,
if it's coming at all, or whatever Ford may do.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe Ford's putting this out there just to mess with us.
Yeah, so we're still like a year and a half away. So let's move on. Something else that's a year and a half away. there's very strong information to support this, although GM hasn't come out and said it. But the next generation of the Colorado and the GMC Canyon are coming for 2023, we think.
Yeah, now these vehicles are rumored to simplify certain things, including the powertrain, mainly the powertrain. That may be the 2.7 liter turbo, which is currently used in the full-size Chevrolet Silverado, may find its way to the Colorado and, of course, the Canyon. Now, that means that they might axe the V6, the current four-cylinder engine that's there now, and the diesel, and just have one powertrain. The good news is this is a hell of a good powertrain.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we're learning from several sources, not just one source.
Yeah, a lot of people have been dialing in with this one.
Yeah, and I think, it's time for the Colorado and the Canyon to get a full redesign. They came out, you and Roman went to the initial launch of the
years
current.
ago.
Yeah, this was like 2015 model year. So it's been a few years already. So they've refreshed it, right? They've updated it slightly. But I think it's really time for them to knock it out of the ballpark again.
So hopefully, if they decide to do this, I'm hoping they'll add the 10-speed automatic transmission to it, which would make sense because then it would be on par with what Ford is doing with their Ranger, which comes standard with their 2.3-liter turbo and their 10-speed automatic transmission. So it would be, there would be button heads. The other thing I'm really hoping is that this powertrain works with the ZR2 package, which is by far one of the best off-road pickup trucks out there.
Yeah, so, and you're exactly right. I mean, there's information there that the V6 is going away, that the 2.7 or the, I think it's the 2.5, the naturally aspirated
that gas one.
four-banger for the work truck may also go away.
Yeah, that's with the rumor, and the diesel, of course.
Yeah, and of course the 6-speed and the 8-speed automatics that are there now, and even the diesel. So, I don't know how I feel about the diesel going away. I'm a little bit sad, but this 2.7 turbocharged straight 4, we've driven it many times in the Silverado. It's an excellent engine.
Do you recall offhand what the output was on that 2.7?
Yes, in the Silverado, it's 310 horsepower, which, by the way, matches some other trucks
like
in
the
this segment.
Nissan's new V6 that's in the new Nissan Frontier.
Yeah, and monstrous torque, 347 pound-feet of torque.
So in other words, if they put this engine into the Chevrolet Colorado and also the GMC, it would suddenly be either at or above its class level. So either best in class or nearly best in class with pretty much everything. We already know it's an efficient powertrain, and putting it in a light pickup truck, it would make that thing pretty much a rocket.
Yeah, so that's all good news.
Yes.
And also, probably updating the chassis, the interior, the exterior.
The interior desperately needs it.
The interior needs it, and also the tech.
Yes.
They need to nail the tech in a big way.
And they have the ability to do so. Now, I know a lot of you guys out there have heard a lot of stuff about, electrification with GM products. We're not talking about the full-size trucks right now. And currently, we have any information on their mid-size trucks and what they're going to do with them in the late future. But at least for right now, this 2.7-liter rumor makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so like you said, we don't have any hybrid news to share right now. Although, General Motors has been also known to play around with hydrogen.
Yes.
Fuel cells is a big thing for them. So, but I think that's still several years.
Yeah, I
many
don't really
years.
think we're going to have a hydrogen mid-size pickup truck that people can afford right off the bat.
Maybe the military has one, but
that's a totally different story, and we actually
don't.
have some really good video on that. Is that on truck?
Yeah, we have some
with
videos.
Roman driving
a ZH2.
Yeah,
it's called, not the ZR2, but the ZH2.
Yeah, which is pretty cool stuff actually. I wish I could drive one.
Yeah.
So should we move on to Hyundai and Honda, or do you want to go to Toyota and Nissan?
Let's do the H's.
Okay.
Which one?
All right. Well, Honda's really easy. Honda, Ridgeline. Only one rumor that's out there right now. Now, recently, Honda did a major refresh with their Ridgeline. So they have a couple different versions of it, including the sort of kind of off-roady version, which has like cool wheels.
Yeah, like the Honda Performance, they call it.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's that one. And that just recently came out, even though you probably never heard of it because they won't advertise it for some strange reason. And it's had a refresh with styling as well. So the rumor is that they're considering a Type R version of the Honda Ridgeline.
No way.
Yeah, that's what I say. No way. It's not like, nah. But anyway, the rumor is out there. Now, for those of you truck guys who don't pay attention to car stuff, Type R basically is the super hot version of a Honda product. Right now, there is a Honda Civic Type R, super, super fast. So the rumor is that they do this and then possibly suspension, maybe a little engine tweak, make it faster, handle better. That's the rumor. That's all there is. There's nothing else right now with the Ridgeline because, once again, it was very recently refreshed.
Yeah, well, you know what? I don't know if the Type R has the right connotation for me in trucks. I love the Civic Type R. You know, it's a great
that's
platform.
an outstanding car.
Yeah, great platform, great name, great heritage, right? All of that stuff. But I kind of, if they've chosen this HPD, which is kind of Honda Performance Division name for the Ridgeline, I think they should probably stay with that name. But make it, you know, if they want to improve the off-roadability or hybridize it or do something else, make it more macho. That's what I'm hoping.
I would agree. A nice lift and better tires would be like a really good start. Maybe.
But right now, they're just happy to sell this one.
Yeah. And the thing is that Honda, I know a lot, I've seen other reports where people are like, oh, Honda doesn't sell many of this. You know what? One thing about the Ridgeline is that they've been very steady with their sales. They've been rock solid. So they're not selling a ton of them, but they're not losing their shirts on them either. So they're managing to make a profit, sell these trucks, and they haven't actually dipped that much. Right?
Yeah, and they're also simplifying a little bit.
Right.
So we talked about simplification, right, with some of these. They got rid of their front-wheel drive, two-wheel drive platform. Model. Yeah. And all Ridgelines for 2021 are all-wheel drive. Which is proper.
They did not sell many of the front-wheel drive models.
But unfortunately, the price went up because the front-wheel drive model is no longer available. So
right, and that
price
was their
went
value
up
leader.
Yeah.
Right.
So now it's $37,665, which is a lot of change for a midsize truck already to start. But you have to remember, 4 doors, crew, and all-wheel drive. So you're getting all of that.
And a pretty damn decent interior, I gotta say. It's one of the most comfortable vehicles in its class, and we can leave it at that, I think.
Yeah.
Should we move on to the Hyundai Santa Cruz? Now, we know this is coming. It's been announced. It is coming. So we're going to dispense with what we have been told, and then talk about possible future powertrains real quickly. Just going to quickly go over these. Now, bear in mind that the Santa Cruz shares a lot of components with the Tucson and the Santa Fe. As such, there's a new Santa Fe coming out that's going to have 2 different powertrains. One's a PHEV that puts out 260 horsepower, and the other one is a regular hybrid that puts out 226 horsepower. Both of these powertrains would be fairly competitive with, small or mid-size crossovers, but not so much mid-size pickup trucks. However, it could be a leader when it comes to gas mileage. So that's the possibility there. Now, we do have some pictures of it towing, which looks like it's towing a fairly good load. And by the way, that butt's not sagging too much, which is saying something for an independent rear suspension.
Yeah, they probably set up this trailer and hitch.
Properly.
Yeah. I hope they use Gen Y hitches, by the way. I'm sorry.
No, good plug.
Okay. No.
That was awesome, Andre.
So, dude, I was thinking about this, the Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
That we've been waiting for this for at least 6 years.
6 years.
And it's a little bit upsetting.
2015 Detroit Auto Show is when they debuted it, and we were actually one of the outfits to cover it.
Yeah, so it's been a while, and finally we see the prototypes, so we can actually put our finger on this and actually understand what's coming. And the styling is pretty unique and kind of wild if you look at this prototype.
Yeah, now if you look at the front of that, by the way, and if you look at the front of the Tucson, they're very similar in terms of styling, design, language. So that's one of the reasons why we think that it's going to have a lot in common with the Tucson. But as I said before, the more robust system out there in terms of powertrain is the Santa Fe, which is a larger vehicle, and it makes sense that you would have that power this so you could tow better, I guess.
Yeah, and here's another look at this if you're watching this, of course. It's basically, once again, kind of a unibody subframe situation, and we don't know a lot about it because we don't have an official press release about this.
No, we don't, but there are some interesting things you should pay attention to. First of all, once again, I mentioned that the lack of sag, which is really good. I like that because that means that payload might not be too bad. Mm-hmm. And the second thing is that this vehicle, if you look at its approach and departure angles, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
One thing I know Honda has to get better mileage, so they have to have like a thing in the front. And so actually everybody has to do that at some point in time, unless they have a special off-road version. But the fact that they're not putting that on this vehicle, there's a very small little lip in the front. That's actually an encouraging sign from me, at least.
And very short bed. I mean, we can see that.
At what, 5 feet, you think?
I would say it's a little bit less because it kind of seems to me that the rear end on this thing, at least the prototype, it's a little bit shorter than like a Ridgeline would be.
Right.
So I'm thinking, but you know what they showed in the concept is like an expandable bed.
Oh, that was the coolest thing.
But I don't know if that's going to be part of
So
it.
what he's mentioning is an expandable bed. Basically, what it had was a secondary bed inside, and you were able to slide it out and add an additional, I think, 18 inches to the length of the bed, and it would slide. It was very simple, and it's a hell of a good idea. And everything slid too, by the way. The taillights, the entire bed, the tailgate, all of that slid out. So if they were able to incorporate that design into this, that means it could go from a 4.5-foot bed to perhaps a 6.5-foot bed, which would be freaking awesome. But I don't know if it's practical in terms of construction. So we'll find out in the future. Should we move on to Nissan and Toyota?
Let's do it. Let's hit Nissan first.
Okay, so Nissan does not have a lot of news because you guys already heard it. They have a brand new Frontier, which, by the way, I absolutely love the design of the Frontier. I know some of you guys think that from the profile it looks too much like a Toyota, like from the back door. But honestly, I don't think so. And when you really look at it, actually, it does have a little bit of Ford F-150 in the driver and front passenger door, that little thing on the windshield. But in terms of its front end design, in terms of its overall design, in terms of its look, and that is the FX4 platform. Sorry, not FX4. Pro 4. What's it called?
Pro 4X.
Pro 4X.
Yeah.
I said FX4 first.
You're thinking of Ford.
There's too many Fords and X's and things like that going on. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, the point is that that's what that is right there. And the other news is there's a Pro X version coming out. Right?
Which is like a pre-runner two-wheel drive model.
Exactly. So it's going to look like that, but it's only two-wheel drive, and it would probably be far more affordable. The thing is that there's nothing else coming out in terms of information about
Other
this truck.
powertrains, you mean?
Right. Yeah. But real quick, overseas, Nissan has worked with Dongfeng, which is a large Chinese automaker, and on their older platform, they do have an electric truck that's running around China for 19 grand. Has a 68 kilowatt hour battery, has a 250 mile range, can hold about 1,000 pounds in the bed, and it's a quad cab. So the point about that is, if Nissan can find a good recipe for bringing that type of powertrain over here, you never know what the future would bring. But once again, this is based on old tech, and it's also overseas. So just keep that in mind.
Well, I want to spend a little bit more time on the Frontier.
Yeah, let's talk about the Frontier. What's going on?
We're talking about the 2022 model that's coming out this summer. So
this summer, right?
We're still like 3-4 months away-ish, maybe for it actually reaching the dealerships.
And we'll have a lot more details about that, obviously.
And we'll test it and drive it.
Oh, hell yeah!
So yeah, expect that on TFL Truck, TFL Off-Road. We'll be all over this truck because this is very significant. This is they haven't redesigned it in 17 years. So this is the new model. Really cool stuff. And they're also simplifying. So there's a common theme, right?
One powertrain,
like you mentioned, a 3.8 liter V6, 310 horsepower, like we mentioned, and 9-speed automatic is the only thing you can get.
So it shares some components with the Titan. The Titan also has a 9-speed automatic.
Yeah, and I like the styling. I think the styling...
It looks great, I think.
Yeah, even though, yes, it may resemble other things, I don't care. I think at some point, each truck borrows from each other a little bit.
There's only so many things you can do before they start looking like other things, and I get it.
Yeah.
But at least I think that Nissan, the way they designed this truck, is exactly how they should have designed the Titan from the get-go, from the new generation Titan. But that's fine, because I prefer small trucks anyway, and I think that this thing looks like the business. It looks great.
Yeah, and the fact that, we don't know the pricing quite yet, so we don't know a few things, what's happening with the new Frontier.
I'm hoping Nissan will keep it reasonable and try to undercut the competition, which would be smart, because that will help boost their sales right off the bat.
Yeah, and then also the interior is brand new. We have all the images on TFL
I think
Truck.
it's very simple, but also I'm fine with simple. In fact, I hate overwrought. This looks decent to me. The only thing I'm not too thrilled about is the red trim, personally speaking. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan, but the rest of the interior looks pretty good, especially compared to what it's replacing.
I actually kind of like the color. maybe a little bit too much. Some of these inserts are kind of large, but I like a little bit extra color, especially like the stitching and the kind of the seats, because it's kind of boring looking at black on black on
I
black.
agree with you. Well, this is gray on gray, and it would be really cool if you could actually switch out the colors so it didn't have to be red.
Right.
Can you imagine that?
Like yellow or
Neon green, baby.
something else.
Yeah, something that's really, annoying. But the overall design looks really good. I actually kind of like the seat design too. That whole little Nissan angry looking front end is cool. And the thing about it is, if this interior is the same size or larger than the one it replaces in terms of overall size and comfort, it will be, for me, a large person, a more comfortable place than the Toyota Tacoma, which, as much as I love the Tacoma, has never been the most comfortable truck for me.
Yeah, and also they kept kind of the width of this truck and the overall length close to what it is now.
Yeah, it's pretty much about the same.
But they just stretched it a bit. So
Right.
they didn't go wider or taller necessarily, but the length is increasing, and I hope it's in the rear seat. I hope it's in the interior.
Yeah, the rear
that's kind of where
the one
it
thing
is.
about the rear seat on the old one was that it was bolt upright.
Yeah, very
and,
straight.
and it really, even for my kids, they weren't that comfortable when I would bring one home. So hopefully this one's a little bit more comfortable in the back. But personally, I don't really care because I'm about to kick one of my kids out of the house and send them off to college. So who cares? No, I'm kidding.
So before we get to Toyota, actually,
Yeah.
can we talk a little bit about FCA or Stellantis?
Yes, absolutely. Now this is a huge rumor, and then there's another huge rumor to go against the huge rumor.
Where do you want to start?
Let's start on the positive and then go to the negative.
Okay, what's positive?
Positive is, a while ago, Stellantis, before they were Stellantis, they were still FCA. FCA actually went to the patent office and got the Dakota name back, so they have it again. Now, bear in mind, Dakota could simply be something they're protecting so nobody else can use it, and simply by gaining that at the patent office, then they prevent everybody else from using the name Dakota. Get it. The other thing is that they could be bringing back a mid-size truck. Before the former head of FCA passed away, he said that they were interested in building a mid-size truck. And then after he passed away, they still said that they were interested in building a mid-size truck, something that could go alongside the only mid-size truck FCA builds, which is the Jeep Gladiator. So, here are some of the rumors about that in the positive.
Okay.
One is, that might be a test mule. And for those of you who are not able to see this, what I'm pointing at is a screen image from over a year ago.
Yeah, so dude, this prototype has been out there for a long time. And what it is looks like a Ram 1500.
Right.
But it's lower and shorter.
Yep.
And from everything we know, it may or may not be the next compact truck from Ram or FCA or Stellantis. Because it was also said that this was also a Grand Wagoneer SUV prototype.
Right. If you look at the back bars, for those of you who can see it, there's these large tubular bars that are running into the cockpit of the truck. There you go.
Yeah, here's another
one. Pay no attention to the handsome men below. But the point is that could be a reinforcement that will roughly be the equivalent of what a frame would be on
Yeah.
So the point is that could very well be just a test bed, a test mule, and has nothing to do with the fact that it looks like a pickup truck. We get that. But the other possibility is that it actually is a mid-sized pickup truck and a little thing that they're screwing around with, and eventually we'll be building one. So here's the possibilities on that. One rumor is that they're going to build it on the current platform being used by the Jeep Gladiator because it's already there, why not share it? If that's the case, that means that this vehicle could inherit the upcoming 4xe version of the Gladiator, that is a plug-in hybrid, but super torquey powertrain, which also means ridiculously expensive, so hopefully they'd find a way to reduce the price. The other possibility is that right now that PSA, that's Peugeot, has come together with FCA, and then there's Stellantis, is that they could bring over one of their platforms. And they do have pickup trucks that Peugeot builds. They are Chinese-built platforms, but who knows? That's another possibility. And the third possibility is what you're seeing here on the screen. If you can't see that, is that the Strada, the Fiat Strada?
Well, this one I'm showing, and I found this from several years ago, actually.
Yeah.
It's a Fiat Toro.
Toro, that's
So
it.
the Toro is kind of a small crossover type pickup.
Yep.
Very similar to what we discussed with the Santa Cruz
Right.
and some others.
Ridgeline.
Yeah. So this was actually captured about 4 years ago testing around the United States. And it's a small pickup truck that could potentially be a Ram, in theory.
It is a Ram.
Like in other markets. Yes, in Mexico and other markets. Yeah.
Right, I think, yeah. So the point is that they might bring it here if they're testing it here. If they're testing a vehicle in the United States, it doesn't mean that's concrete evidence that they're actually going to build the vehicle for the United States. There are other countries that do test here in the United States. We found out the hard way. So that it could be either way on that. So those are the positive rumors, that there's 3 or 4 different possibilities for an upcoming midsize truck built by Stellantis/Ram. So the return of the Ram Dakota. Then there's the negative rumor that recently popped out. Ironically, that rumor was produced by the GM Authority.
There's a site, gmauthority.com, and they do have access to some inside information, obviously.
Right.
And their headline says that the Dakota is canceled.
Yep. So a bunch of guys who are GM fans are saying the Dakota's canceled. I know. But it's possible. They could, and we all have our inside sources, and they may have an inside source who's simply like, look, guys, I found this out. Here it is. And if their information is correct, that means that it's going to kill the return of the Dakota, which means that the only midsize pickup truck available from Stellantis/FCA would be the Jeep Gladiator.
So let's unpack it just a little bit more, right? Yeah. So the Gladiator so far is relatively successful.
It's doing pretty well.
Yeah, it's not, selling in volume.
I think they thought it would do a little bit better.
Yeah, but it's a specialty truck that's kind of high priced, right?
Right.
So it's a very specific truck. It's very capable off-road. And as such, it can be accessorized. And as we know, the manufacturer pricing could be north of $60,000 for a midsize truck.
If you go for the diesel and all the other stuff.
Rubicon or Mojave.
Right. And on top of that, they have confirmed that they're trying to electrify their fleet. So that means that the 4xe version of the Gladiator could be a couple years off, but is most likely coming, which makes sense because you already have a platform that works with the Jeep Wrangler. You might as well put it into the Gladiator, which is similar, which would make it a very efficient vehicle, although an extremely expensive one. So the question is, would you go to another version? I know a lot of you guys out there want a 2-door version of the Gladiator. I sincerely doubt it's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, we're seeing a trend away from that, right?
Right.
Most of these manufacturers actually canceled their 2 door
there's
regular
very few.
trucks.
Yeah.
So
I can't think of a single automaker that builds in the United States a 2 or 3 passenger mid-size truck.
Full-size trucks.
Full-size trucks, yes. But not mid-size trucks.
And
wow.
We're seeing this trend, right?
Right.
But we also saw the trend of that manual transmission went away.
Yeah.
Mid-size trucks, only the Gladiator currently, and the Tacoma, and then the Nissan is, went away from manuals.
That's right. So only 2 trucks that are being offered in the United States currently have manual transmissions available.
There is some information, or there is some evidence that FCA or Stellantis could do really well with another truck. Or also if they made it a little bit like a compact truck, a little bit under.
Like this.
Like a Toro would be, like a Fiat platform or some other platform like this.
Put its base price $10,000 less than the Gladiator so you can bring people into the market with a very basic truck.
Exactly.
I agree. It would make sense whether or not they're able to do it. Oh, that's questionable. And bear in mind, there's also a lot of other powertrains that are going to be coming out through the Stellantis group because Peugeot has a whole bunch of powertrains that we don't have here, and some of them are actually quite good. So that's some good news. So the negative is it's possible they're killing it, according to some reports, and then according to other reports, there may be a whole slew of different options and possibilities available for the Dakota if they decide to come out with it.
Or maybe they're just going to surprise all of us and call it something else.
You never know.
Right? Okay.
The baguettes. Here it comes. Who knows? But we'll see. I'm excited because I do like mid-sized trucks. I'm hoping that they do build something through this group. Should we move on to Toyota? Because I know the Tacoma is the most popular truck in its class, the best-selling truck in its class, and for a good reason. It's just a damn good truck, but it's also now the oldest truck out there in its class.
Yeah, so once again, we saw this new generation come out. We went to Tacoma, Washington.
Yeah, Andre and I did do that.
To drive the new
I think
Tacoma.
that was one of the first trips you and I took together to a press event.
That was quite fun.
Yeah. And that worked out quite well.
And so, yeah, so they redesigned it, obviously. Now the 3.5 liter V6 is their top engine. But they have a lot of stuff cooking.
Oh, they got
right.
a ton of cooking.
So they're redesigning their trucks, period. And they have a new kind of modular platform, right?
Right.
What is
It's
it called?
either going now. Here, it depends on which site you go to. It either could be called the TNGA F platform or the F1 platform, both of which basically mean truck platform, which is a shared platform that supposedly is going to cover almost every truck that Toyota builds for the North American market.
Yeah, and that includes their SUVs or
Right,
large
right.
SUVs.
Right.
also.
Well, actually, the 4Runner, the Sequoia, who knows?
Land Cruiser is a different story.
We won't talk about the Land Cruiser. So mad about that. But also that includes the Tundra and, of course, the Tacoma. So what does that mean in terms of platform sharing? That means that this platform, it will be modular, so it can be increased and decreased in size and capability. But it also means that some parts will be shared between these trucks, which makes sense, right?
Yeah, so we know that the Tundra is next on the docket
Yes.
to be redesigned. So the Tacoma may come right after that. So
That's what we're expecting,
yeah.
at least.
So if the Tundra, let's say, comes out this year, at the end of this year, which is it's supposed to still,
Yeah.
we don't know exactly. The Tacoma may be a year and a half away, the next Tacoma, I mean, or 2 years away, or something like that.
So the reason we're mentioning the Tundra is because rumor has it, and it's a big popular rumor, is that they're coming out with a twin turbocharged V6 version, a twin turbocharged V6 with a hybrid version, 10-speed automatic transmission, a lot of component sharing throughout, so there might be a couple options out there, and supposedly they're going to try to basically beat Ford.
Yeah, or at least, target Ford as the leader in that
Right.
space. But since we talked about the platform sharing, right?
Right.
That some of that powertrain and some of that capability could slide down, right?
Right.
Into the Tacoma.
So our friends at a million different, there are so many Toyota Tacoma sites out there,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
So here's one of the rumors. Right now, Toyota, they like to share parts, as you guys know. So they do have a hybrid 3.5 liter V6 that's actually quite powerful. And it puts out 354 horsepower. It's currently being used in the LS Hybrid. They have a more powerful turbocharged version of as well. But if you think about that powertrain and how it's packaged, because it goes to a vehicle that is rear drive bias, theoretically, that could work in something like a pickup truck. So the rumor is that powertrain, a detuned version, will find its way over to the Tacoma, which means that it'll get over 30 miles per gallon, possibly a 10-speed automatic, or even, I know this is cringy, their new combine package, which is a CVT mixed with a 4-speed automatic transmission. That is being used in the LS. I sincerely doubt that's going to happen, but
I would
the 10-speed
bet-
sounds a lot more possible.
I would bet on the 10-speed.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
too. And then the other thing is coil springs all the way around, and everything is upped from there in terms of capability, so it can match. And I'm pretty sure they're aiming for the Ford Ranger, because Ford Ranger right now is one of the best in class for a gas truck in its class.
Yeah, and normally Toyota truck life cycles are usually, they're longer than some other.
Super long.
So normally they could be 8 to 10 years. If that's the case, we may not see the next Tacoma redesign. I mean, serious new generation of Tacoma for several years in the future.
It's
But
possible.
but I'm hoping, because there's additional pressure, right? Because
Right.
everybody else is coming out with a new truck. That hopefully that Tacoma and Toyota will actually see that and actually address it somehow.
I have two things here. One is that competition forces everybody, all the boats to float at a higher level, right? Which is a good thing. Competition is the best thing for you guys, the consumer, and for us, journalists, because everybody loves, a big fight. But here's the other thing, and this is something that's very telling. Andre came across an article a while ago about how Toyota's changing a few things with their San Antonio plant. Is that it?
Yeah. So the other part, they're restructuring their manufacturing facilities, which is a big part of this.
It is. It actually.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead.
Yeah. So the story is that the Tacoma and the Tundra currently are made together in the San Antonio plant.
Plus
plus other plants. But I was actually fortunate enough to visit San Antonio plant, and I saw it with my own eyes.
Right.
Even though they didn't allow me to bring a camera,
Which
because
sucks.
it was quite sensitive information.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool. But they've also been making or producing the Tacoma at the Baja facility in Mexico.
Right.
So the story is that they're shifting the production of Tacoma more and more towards Baja. And building up capacity so they can produce many, many hundreds of thousands of trucks.
Right.
And then the San Antonio plant won't be left alone.
No.
You'll get the next Tundra and also the Sequoia.
Right, which should be built on the new TNGA F platform or F1 or whatever they're going to call it platform, this new platform, which makes sense because they'll be able to, take the older platform of the Tacoma, keep it going for a while the new platform is being produced and used at the San Antonio plant with 2 trucks. That makes complete sense. So that means that we can see, at least in the immediate future, the Toyota Tacoma pretty much going as is,
For a
quite
while,
possibly
for a
for the
while.
next few years.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see what Toyota does. They just recently announced a lift kit, factory authorized lift kit.
Yeah, that looked really good.
Yeah, so I'm sure they're not sitting, doing nothing.
No, but
obviously
didn't
they're
somebody
up-
else have a factory lift kit for their midsize truck too, just
I
recently?
can't imagine who did.
Ford.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting because usually Toyota doesn't chase, right? Usually they're the innovators when it comes to the midsize truck. But I've noticed that over the past 5 years, often Toyota is doing things that kind of counter whatever somebody else has produced as opposed to them making the first step.
Well, they've been the big dog, right, for
Right.
decades.
Yeah, they really have.
But they had this methodical, long life cycle thinking, right? So maybe they're trying to change some of their thinking, right, some of their philosophy, and actually react to what's happening in the world, which is good.
They may have no choice but to react, especially with new emission standards that are coming out. And this is one of the things, once again, we know we didn't want to be heavy on electrification and hybrids and all that, but the reality is that it's happening. So it's possible that Toyota may have to step up even earlier to change the Tacoma to make it, something that can still be compliant. We don't know for sure what they have in mind, but as I said, we know that the plants are going to change a little bit. We know that at least for right now, the Tacoma is going to be built in Mexico when they make this change. And that means probably using their old platform for a little while longer, at least until after they introduce the new Tundra, right? Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah, that kind of does. And if you're wondering about, obviously, we always like to, USA made, right? Everything USA.
USA.
Yeah, I love that because, especially local, like Colorado made, because we're based in Colorado.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
very important to me personally as well. But I was talking to Ford, top dog engineers. Like one of them, of course, is Mike Swears, who is the chief engineer. And
You said Ford?
I'm sorry, Toyota.
Yeah, that's okay. I just wanted
Did
to
I
correct
say
you before
Ford
you...
again?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, I talked to the Mike Swears, the chief engineer at Toyota, and he said, he specifically, across the world, no matter which country you're in, they have the same methodologies for their production, facilities and same quality controls and all that stuff. So I think that's good, but I wish they would build more trucks here, kind of.
Well, who knows? Maybe they'll enlarge the plant that's in San Antonio so they can actually build more. The good news for Toyota is that they're still number one. And even though brand new trucks are coming out, there's very little chance of anybody catching Toyota, at least for the next couple of years.
It's amazing. I mean, last year they sold, I think, 230,000 Tacomas. I mean,
Now,
almost 250,000.
In the COVID year, in
Yes.
2020?
Yes.
That's incredible.
So, I mean, they're still selling almost any truck, every Tacoma they can build.
Right.
So that's pretty remarkable still.
It is. And so, I mean, if it ain't broke, why fix it? And that's kind of been Toyota's thing there as well. So we will be seeing the Tundra most likely before the new Tundra, before we see the new Tacoma. That makes sense. And then most likely the next Tacoma, when it does come, if ever, will have a unique powertrain or something special. We think that's a pretty logical guess too.
Yeah, so there you have it. I mean, the next, year and a half will be huge for midsize trucks.
Oh, yeah.
The new Ranger, like we said, the new GM mid-size trucks.
Maybe a Maverick from Ford, who knows?
Yeah, this year it's the Frontier.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe some other upstart manufacturers will add more trucks in the space.
Right, and we didn't want to
Yeah.
add those other electric vehicle trucks, blah, blah, blah.
Well, because we don't have prototypes.
We don't have anything
any,
that we can
right.
even remotely, yeah.
So there you have it, dude. Mid-size segment is hot.
It is hot, and it could quite possibly be getting hotter.
Yes.
By the way, a few things I want to leave you guys with. Rumors about a Bronco pickup truck. Huge rumors about that. Tons of rumors. So what we want you guys to do is please comment below. Let us know what you think about not only these rumors, but anything that you may have heard or want with the upcoming new batch of midsize trucks.
Yeah, and I don't know about the Bronco pickups. The large Bronco pickup. But if that's coming, it just seems like there's too much going on there at Ford.
Well,
but
Ford
but
did
you
say
tell
they're a
me.
truck company now.
You tell me. They want to build trucks.
Yep.
There we have it.
There you go, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And remember, you can find us on all different podcasts and come back every week to TFL Talk. We have a lot of stuff going on our channel as well.
And of course, this will also be on our website, tfltruck.com.
That's right. We'll see you next time.